Hey everyone, Japanese Import here. No matter where you are in your rank journey right now, I've been there. Whether it's at level 1 and you're brand new to the game, or you're in Challenger. I've been playing this game for a decade now, and for the past half of it, I've been spending most of my time trying to impart my knowledge onto others. I've got over 5,000 hours at this point of coaching all lanes and all ELOs. Needless to say, I've seen it all. Not only have I seen it all, but I know exactly what problems players have at certain ranks, and exactly what it takes for them to get out. Now I want to help you avoid a lot of these issues, and give you some guidance on what to work on if you just feel like you're stuck. Avoid the issues that myself and my students have had to experience with this guide, and get the fast track to the next level. While the advice today will be targeted towards support players of specific ranks to give them the most value, everyone can learn from watching ranks and roles that aren't their own, as these concepts will all build on one another and everyone has different weaknesses.
Now, you've probably wondered to yourself, is SkillCapd really worth it? Well, let's find out. So, what rank were you before you started SkillCapd?
So I was bronze, but I think I was working my way back down to iron.
May have been high silver, but I think I was gold.
And what's the highest rank that you've achieved so far while using SkillCapd?
I've got several accounts I've hit gold on.
Diamond 2.
Is there anything SkillCapd helped you learn that would have taken you longer otherwise?
If I keep track of where that enemy jungler is, he's on the other side of the map, and it looks like he's ganking by bot lane, and I'm on the top side of the map. I can't get there in time, so there's no way I can impact that. I'm going to go seal his topside camps, or I'm going to grab Rift now.
Just lots of ideas like, hey, I'm strong early, I'm Lee Sin, let's analyze all the lane matchups and go to a lane where I have prio and invade. That's not something I would be doing on my own every game, but that is something I'm doing because of SkillCapd.
When I played League before SkillCapd, I was sort of playing and feeling my way around. And then after coming across SkillCapd and trying it for a little while, during one of the videos, I think, a sudden click of, hold on a second, this is not just a game of running around and killing people. This is a game about strategy. This is a game about moving the pieces so that the future becomes predictable and then acting on that future.
So what are you waiting for? Get real results at skillcapd.com. Link in the description below.
So, you're just starting your rank journey, or maybe you hit some speed bumps along the way. Regardless, this is the best time for us to develop our fundamentals. Bad habits are really hard to unlearn. Fortunately, you're not going to have many of them yet, but that doesn't mean you aren't making mistakes. They just aren't completely ingrained and should be easy to unlearn. It's important to know that you don't know how the game works yet, and you have to constantly question everything you do, even if the result is positive. In Iron and Bronze, we aren't going to have the right play 99% of the time, and that's okay. What we want is to at least have the right mindset going into games to set us up to learn. This doesn't just mean don't be toxic and focus on yourself. Of course, we should do those things, and it goes without saying that if you want to improve, you shouldn't worry about things that are outside of your control. However, a really big one for support players in particular is how they approach the laning phase. Have you ever thought of bot lane matchups as poke lanes, sustain lanes, or kill lanes? Most players try to generalize lanes and look for a plug-and-play answer or solution. For example, saying that kill lanes beat sustain lanes might be kind of true on paper, but in practice it's often not the case. Especially in low elo, matchups do not matter. Nothing will play out how it's theoretically supposed to like it will in Challenger, because no one you're playing against is going to know how to pilot their champions perfectly. Lanes that should lose will win, and constricting how we think about our champions will only hinder us. When you think of an enchanter like Soraka, most players will think very passive, heal champion, play to scale, etc. But Soraka can often be one of the strongest lane bullies in the game, especially against low elo opponents. Take this game for example. Right at level 1, I'm able to just completely zone the enemy bot lane off the wave and literally get a kill as soon as the minions meet. And this is in gold plat elo. If I thought of my champion as fitting the archetype I just described, then I would never have gone for that kind of play, and I would miss out on learning that I can do it. Really, I just use fundamental knowledge to punish here. It wouldn't really even matter what champion I was playing because I just had good movement to dodge all the skill shots, and I knew when to move forward and when to move back. I even missed a Q here, so this was really just auto-attacked. And of course, knowing that I could even look for it in the first place. What I'm getting at here is that we need to throw away all of our preconceived knowledge of matchups and just play to win the lane. Regardless of if you're picking a scaling champion, a lane bully, or whatever, you can always beat your opponents with good fundamentals, and that's true until much higher ELOs. Most games can just be won simply by smashing a lane. If you aren't winning your lane, we don't get to complain about our top laner inting. You just need to figure out how to dominate every game. Luckily, League is a game that's all based on trial and error. Keep trying new things, see what works, what doesn't, and don't worry about winning or losing. We're just trying to learn. The LP will come naturally when that happens. Okay, we're making some progress now. Silver is where the vast majority of the player base lands, and is full of people wanting to get to gold for that precious rank skin every year. So what do we need to do to get there? This is where we need to start asking the why behind what we're doing. For example, if we follow along with low elo supports, we will often see actions that appear to be innocuous. At first glance, probably nothing seems really bad about this replay, right? Wrong. Morgana really achieved two things during this time. She killed a pink, and she also set up a ward in the enemy's bot side jungle. So now we need to ask, why did she do these things? It all seems rather inoffensive until you look back before she went for it. Our jungler's on top side, and there's a Rift Herald up, and Dragon is already gone. Why do we care about bot side vision right now? Additionally, Garen is pushing top lane and is the only vulnerable person on the map at the moment. Jinx is under no threat bottom. The more you think about it, the more it just doesn't make any sense. It's like Morgana was just placing a ward to place a ward, and that's exactly it. Supports are often told that they need to just go get vision, but it's even more important to know where you want it. What kind of play are you trying to support? Who are you trying to see with that ward? What objectives can you set up? Our ward should have been topside here, and Morgana would have been much better off helping to enable a Rift Herald or a topside invade. Because of the poor setup in topside, when we do go for Rift, we have no information, and the fight goes terribly. Morgana gets punished. However, it can often be difficult to diagnose the real problem in situations like this, even when you do die. Dying here doesn't immediately scream what the fix is, and it can often leave you wondering what to do. That's why I recommend constantly setting goals throughout your games. If you want to do the Rift Herald, set a goal to get vision around the Rift beforehand. If your top laner is trying to split push, set a goal to secure vision for them if possible, and so on. When we start thinking about what we're actually working towards at any given point, it's much easier to make a cohesive plan that flows from action to action and justifies your decisions. And then you won't find yourself feeling as lost as this Morgana probably did. Rank skin secured, but we still have a long way to go. Gold is where we really want to start trying to coordinate plays with our teammates. I know what everyone will say. Have you ever played in gold? Gold players don't coordinate, and you're not wrong. What I'm really talking about is doing things that will make your teammates' actions just work. Inherently, humans are very tunnel vision when it comes to League. Everyone has their own ideas about what to do in the moment, ideas about how the game should be played, what's good, what's bad, etc. When we think of coordination, most people think of meeting someone in the middle, somehow compromising to come up with a play that both of you can agree on. Realistically, this isn't going to happen. When we think like this, we're removing control from us and giving it to our teammates. If we try to meet them in the middle and they refuse, well, our efforts are wasted. The idea here is to just meet your teammates, well, all the way. If you see your ADC overextending in lane to go for trades, do it with them. If you see your mid laner pushing a lane in mid that they shouldn't, I don't care, just roam and go hover it so you can counter gank. Don't focus on changing what your teammates are trying to do, just be like water and adapt to the game that you're in. For example, in this game, our ADC is positioning absolutely terribly right in range to get hooked by a Nautilus. Could he have walked the way we did to not be inting right now? Yeah, but it's not worth really trying to worry about what he could have done. We're just dealt a hand and we need to play around it. This Thresh is our challenger expert Nick, and even though his Twitch is asking to die right now, he's very quick to recognize that he needs to play very aggressively to stop Twitch from dying immediately. He could have just thrown Lantern for Twitch when he was initially out of position, but because he's paying attention to what his teammates are doing, he's able to make a better play. If he had used the Lantern initially, he wouldn't have been able to get Lee in to turn this situation into a good one. Later on in this game, we can see him do very similar ideas. He comes out of base and immediately looks for plays that support his teammates. He tries to save Cassia from dying, and of course we aren't happy with the fact that she ends up dead regardless, but now he can look at what else his team can actually do, and when he sees Lee Sin in the enemy's top side, he's just going to try and support any idea that Lee has here. He immediately pings to follow up on the play, and even though he barely participates in the fight, he's creating insurance. If someone from the other team were to try and roam, Lee Sin's gank is definitely more likely to work. Supports are called supports for a reason. We amplify our teammates, and you need to be in the right place at the right time for that to have any effect at all. A big idea that you should really be looking for is to create numbers advantages whenever possible, whether it's through roams, fighting only when you have vision of the enemy jungler, or whatever. We can assist our teammates on their plays and just make sure that we're the yes man to their ideas. Even a bad play can work, given enough support. Well, we just wanted to start learning how to play the hand that we're dealt, so it's time to get knowledgeable about the cards that we have. In Plat, you need to start expanding your knowledge and learn about other roles. I always recommend to play other lanes. Playing jungle can help you better understand gank timings and what you need to do to assist your jungler when they come or want to invade. It can also greatly increase your understanding of what your junglers might actually want to do or what they want from you. Forcing them to try and make bad ganks, like when all their camps are up or when Rift Herald is on the map and Dragon isn't, just doesn't make sense. But it's knowledge that we will have a really hard time internalizing unless you're the one experiencing it firsthand. It's just incredibly important to learn what it feels like to be in someone else's shoes so you can make their lives easier. Playing mid can help you understand how mid priority affects your lane and how to play around not only dives that your team wants to attempt, but potential dives from the opponent's mid laner. For example, we can't really make excuses for trading all of our health away willingly if our mid is getting shoved in. Their mid is just going to come bot and make us pay. Even just learning ADC can help you better understand what to do to let your ADC feel more comfortable. Assuredly, you're going to be annoyed with supports that you get, but you might have a realization that whatever is annoying you might be something you do too. Above all else, if you haven't already gotten a good grasp on it, learn wave management. Tons of supports think that it's not something that concerns them, but you are 50% of bot lane. You have just as much of a responsibility of knowing how to set up your wave as your ADC does. Simple things like helping them last hit under tower, to knowing how to maintain a freeze, or knowing how to fight for control of the wave to get level 2, all of these can make massive differences. In this clip, I'm not even exactly hitting the wave, but I'm positioning in a way that makes it very easy for Vayne to do so with little threat from our opponents. I'm soaking all of the pressure so that she doesn't have to. Additionally, I'm ready to manage the wave if I need to, but I know that we're going to hit level 2 first, and I'm in the exact position that I need to be in order to make that actually work. As a final note, stop blaming your ADCs. Yes, they're going to be bad sometimes, but I'm not kidding when I say that support dictates 70+% of the lane early. ADCs really don't have much impact in the early game, and support is extremely OP then. If you aren't winning the vast majority of your lanes, it's most likely on you. As much as no one wants to hear that, it's something that I needed way back when. Diamond and beyond. This is where improving becomes the most difficult. You may already be doing a lot of the fundamentals and still struggling to climb. We need to learn how to problem solve situations that we've maybe never even seen before. I mean, just watch this clip.
This is really cool. Generally, when people try to freeze waves, they pull the creep wave away from the tower. Obviously, you can't do that here because the two characters are here, but you still manage to get a freeze off because you use something that is very interesting that I haven't seen before. So I basically want to ask you where you learned this from. I'll fast forward the clip a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if people saw this, but take a look at what you do here. You punt away the minion. Where did you learn how to do this? It's actually really cool, in my
Is this
opinion.
a game 3?
Yeah, this is game 3.
I learned this at game 3.
Oh, you learned this in game 3?
Yes.
Like,
One of the best supports in the entire world learns things in the middle of pro games. We shouldn't be ashamed to admit that we don't know some things either. And this is how we really push ourselves to the next level. You absolutely need to be watching other people play the game. boot up streams, full VODs, whatever, of players that are just better than you. We've spent all the time building our fundamentals and game knowledge so that when we watch others, we can understand why they're doing things. No one improves to Challenger without learning from the people around them. In Silver, we were just focusing on making game plans. We didn't actually care if they were necessarily always the most correct, but we just wanted to have some reasoning behind our plays. Now, we need to make sure that the reasoning is solid and that we can find the best or close to the best play almost every time. The only way to do this is to really train our decision-making skills. Treat VODs that you watch as quizzes for scenarios you've never seen. Try to predict what the player you're watching will do and see how your predictions vary from what actually happens in the game. Doing this will show us alternative ways of thinking and force us to question everything we thought we knew about the game. It will make us justify our decisions more and question our thought process with more intensity. Above all else, it will teach us to break the rules. Amazing solo queue players are such high ranks not because they always do the correct play, but because they can recognize when to throw away all of the rules that they've learned and find the exception. Rules are really just limitations. There are of course guidelines for wave management, trading, warding, etc., but none can be all-encompassing. There are going to be situations where doing the wrong thing is just better. At this ELO, we really have to eke out any small advantage that we possibly can. And this is one of the ways to get an advantage over other players who also have good fundamentals. You will have to find a way to separate yourself from your peers, and that is the most important thing to focus on. As a final note, the best thing I can say is to just not let your ego get in the way of improvement. We all go through a period of time where we think we're starting to understand concepts and ideas, and we get confident in our knowledge. That's okay. But even to this day, as someone who has hit Challenger playing multiple roles and has studied the game more than all of my college classes combined, I still feel like I don't know anything. Thinking that you fully understand something is the fastest way to not understand anything at all.
Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapd. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.